morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Committee on Appointments to order at 8 a.m. We have 9 items on our agenda today, starting with the first, a resolution approving appointments to the Mayor's Youth Council for 2025 through 2026.
So moved.
Support. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, commissioners and city staff. We have a wonderful group of young people this year who are eager to learn about the functions of city government and to be a voice to city officials like yourselves about issues that impact their lives and the lives of their families. And kudos to Zach Laraway, our program coordinator, who recruited these young people. These young people will meet with the mayor and, of course, you all, city commissioners and city staff, to learn about how they can be a voice to issues that impact them. And then we have our culminating event, which is Kids Speak, which you all, I believe, have participated in, and we're looking forward to that again next year.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We're excited to have them. Okay, any comments? Commissioner Robbins?
I'll just say, yeah, I've always enjoyed, excuse me, getting to meet with the Youth Council too, so excited to see this back before us again.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I had a wonderful time meeting with them as well. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that brings us to our second resolution approving the City Commission's appointment of Rocio Rodriguez to the Grand Rapids Water System Advisory Council.
So moved.
Support. Any comments on this appointment?
I will add that this appointment is filling a seat that's reserved for a member representing a neighborhood organization. And this appointee is representing the Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association. It looks like maybe Mr. Jernberg is also coming up.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little slow this morning. That Lions game last night. So our Water Advisory Council is required by the state lead and copper rule, and when we set this up back in 2019, and we set it up, we mandated that we would have at least one representative from a neighborhood association. So we've had various people. We've had Fran Dalton, Amy Brower was part of it at one point. So this finally, we've been searching and searching, and finally we got connected with Rocio. So we're very happy to have her on board. So this fills our board at our council at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that input. All right. Further comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Brings us to our third resolution approving the City Commission's appointment of Nick Fisher as an alternate member to the Utility Advisory Board.
So moved.
Support. It is okay. As long as you're here, we're happy.
No, we're going through and doing the audit of our members for Utility Advisory Board, which represents not only the City of Grand Rapids, but also our partner communities. With certain retirements, we've had to shift people around, and Nick is going to fill in as an alternate. So every member that we have is required to have an alternate. That way we have full attendance.
Wonderful. That's important work. Thank you very much. Okay. Further comment on this resolution? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to our fourth resolution approving the City Commission's appointment of Peggy Corzin as citizen trustee to the Police and Fire Retirement System Board of Trustees.
So moved.
Support. Comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll just add, I know at our last meeting I mentioned, I believe this is a replacement for Mr. Balkema, who served on this board for 50 years, I want to say, so quite a long time. She previously was a staff member and supported these boards and has a ton of good technical knowledge, so she's practicing her well-deserved retirement from that staff position, but happy to see her stick around to still serve in this capacity. So.
Thank you. Ms. Bosker?
I'll also add, this citizen trustee position is one where the membership, so like the police and fire, their membership lift up a nomination, and they all unanimously nominated her in addition to the executive director strongly supporting the nomination.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd like to lift that up as well. Our friends in the fire department were very encouraging about Ms. Corzin's appointment, and I'm happy to support it today. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It carries. That brings us to our fifth resolution confirming Mayor LeGrand's appointment of Peter Brunsma to the Housing Appeal Board.
So moved.
Support. Comments on this appointment? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Carries. Brings us to our sixth resolution confirming Mayor LeGrand's appointment of Wesley Wilson to the Housing Appeal Board.
So moved.
Support. Comments? That was also a board that I sat on before being elected. Very fun. But you really feel like you are helping the community. There's usually some things on the agenda, so I'm very happy to see that folks are stepping up to serve our community in this way. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Carries. Brings us to our seventh resolution confirming Mayor LeGrand's appointment of Orlando Bonifacio to the Economic Development Corporation and Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
So moved.
Support. Comments on this appointment?
I can just add that this appointment, Orlando works for, I believe, the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and Guillermo Cisneros recommended him to fill the spot as he left to move on to the land bank.
Good. Thank you so much, Ms. Bosker. That's very important that we continue to have their voice there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Carries. Brings us to our last resolution confirming Mayor LeGrand's appointment of Rosalind Harris to the South Division Granville Avenue Corridor Improvement Authority.
So moved.
Support? Comments, colleagues? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It carries. And lastly, we'll have a discussion on the current board and commission vacancy list. Ms. Bosker?
Yes, today really helped. We're moving along, filling in vacancies. There's a few more that should hopefully be on the next meeting in November. With a little bit of a break, I think that we should be able to move some vetting along. And then I'm primarily shifting focus to the end of year and hoping to have the packets out to you all in the next few week or two with vetting completed and moving along and making decisions and being prepared to not end up with too many more vacancies on the list at the beginning of the year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your work on that, Ms. Bosker. Any final comments or concerns, you all? All right, nice and easy. Well, enjoy the rest of your morning, and we will adjourn the Committee on Appointments at 8:07 a.m.
morning, everybody. It is 8:30. We'll go ahead and get our fiscal committee meeting here underway. Item number 1, we've got a resolution accepting the continuation of a grant award from the Office of Highway Safety Planning, and that's in the amount of $18,886.91.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Good morning, Mr. Weibel.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a continuation grant that we receive each year dedicated at traffic safety. So we'll target speeding, we can do DUI, seatbelt enforcement. There's a wide range of activities we can do to specifically prevent serious and fatal traffic accidents. The only bad news about this grant is that the amount allocated this year was done before the state's budget deal. So it's about half of what we would normally receive. Last year, we received around $38,000, $35,000 before that. So it's basically a across-the-board cut, 50%. We're still at almost 19, and now that the budget deal's settled, I hope to come back to you with another 19 later this year.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Any discussion, colleagues? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Item number 2, we've got a resolution approving an agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation for a congestion mitigation and air quality grant for the Traffic Management Operations Center with a total cost of $690,000.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported.
I apologize. We don't have
No worries.
representation from that department, but, Do you want to speak to the item? No. Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, committee. Jessica Smith, Mobile GR Department. So John Bartlett is our city transportation engineer, and he couldn't be here this morning. This is our standard CMAQ, or Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grants. And I say standard because every year they're giving us everything that we ask for. So this is the way that we take the funding that we receive through major streets, and we multiply that out. CMAQ funding is typically what we're using this for is pedestrian crossings.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Questions, colleagues? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. Thank you. Item number 3, we've got a resolution authorizing a 3-year contract with the Grand Valley Metro Council and their environmental programming unit, the Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds, for continued watershed and stormwater management services. And that one's in the amount of $36,291.70 on an annual basis for a total amount not to exceed $108,875.10.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, colleagues. Dan Tabor, Stormwater Manager and current ELGRO Chair, so talking on behalf of both the ESD and ELGRO. Really just a contract continuation of services. We've partnered with ELGRO for nearly 20 years now. They support us, really helps us do regional work with other communities involved in ELGRO, impactful work like rain garden plantings and environmental education, and they're really helpful in our MS4 audits, so really a great partnership that we look to continue.
Great, thanks. Any discussion, colleagues? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item number 4, we've got a resolution authorizing a contract for professional services with Codometrics Incorporated for the zoning ordinance update with a total amount not to exceed $352,000.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Good morning, Ms. Turkelson.
Good morning. I feel like it's like the World Series for planners. We're heading into a new chapter for the planning department, in that we are writing or updating our zoning ordinance, which is an obvious next step, as the zoning ordinance is viewed as a tool to implement the community master plan, which of course was adopted by the city late last year. So after a submission reviewing 6 proposals, we interviewed 4 firms, and the selection team, which was comprised of 2 technical advisory committee members that are well-versed in City of Grand Rapids planning and zoning world, supported us in interviewing the consultants, and ultimately we all agreed that Codometrics was the firm that we felt like had the best experience in terms of writing code, which sometimes isn't as fun as it may sound. sound? Does it sound fun? But they've got quite a bit of experience, and I think importantly, we were really excited about their engagement partner that is also a firm comprised of planners and social workers that are used to talking with community about planning and zoning concepts, which isn't always the most intuitive conversation to have with community. So we were excited about the experience that they brought to the team. So this is the request to move forward and engage in a contract. So thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you. So just from my understanding, so they're essentially taking sort of the strategy laid out from the city master plan and doing the technical work of writing the language to mirror what came out of that plan. Is that my
Exactly.
understanding right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Colleagues, any discussion or questions on this one? All right, hearing, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Next, we have item number 5, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign certain routine documents for activities of the Community Development and Economic Development Departments for the 2026 calendar year.
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. We have Ms. Bohach here this morning. Tell us about this one.
Good morning. This is something that I bring forward for both community development and economic development. This allows us to have the mayor sign documents that really go along with several of our routine programs, and it just really takes it off your plate from having to do a lot of sort of busy work.
Okay. I'm just curious, is there like an example of the type of document that?
Yeah, so a lot of subordination of mortgages. So
Okay.
when we have funding that's into projects, for example, when we subordinate those mortgages, it might also be covenants that are, for the projects as well. So there's a variety of things, deeds.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Thanks. Colleagues, any questions, discussions? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Items number 6 and 7. We'll start with number 6. I see Mr. Verbrugge walking up here, so maybe we'll have you, if you want to touch on both of them at the same time, you're welcome to, or divide them up. But number 6, we've got a series ordinance authorizing the issuance of sanitary sewer system revenue refunding bonds, Series 2025.
Yeah. Good morning, Commissioners. So the ordinance before you,
Sorry, just real quick, we
Oh.
need a motion.
sorry.
All good.
So moved. Support.
All right. Moved and
right.
supported.
Apologies.
All you. No
Excited
worries.
about it. So this ordinance before you would authorize us to issue a series of revenue refunding bonds for the sanitary sewer system. So think of this like refinancing your mortgage. The sanitary sewer system issued a bond back in 2016. Those are set to mature in 2038. And now we're looking to refund or refinance that issuance to take advantage of a lower interest rate. So that's expected to save us close to $6.7 million in net present value savings over the remaining life of the bond, which represents a little over 19% of the bond's par value. Also included on that first ordinance for sewer is authorization to issue a tender offer on the 2021 bond series that sewer issued. So the 2021 series was a little bit different type of bond. It was more recent, and as a result, we can't do a regular revenue refunding with that one. So instead, we're looking to issue a tender offer whereby bondholders can voluntarily sell back or exchange their old bonds. Our financial advisors estimate that we'll see somewhere between 30 to 50% participation in that offer, but our not to exceed amount, you might notice, is pretty large. That assumes 100% participation, just so we're covering our bases. If we assume a low end of participation of 30%, that would yield savings of $1.3 million in net present savings, or about 5.29% of the bond's par value.
Great, thanks. Colleagues, any questions on this item? All right, hearing, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. And then similarly, number 7, we've got a series ordinance authorizing the issuance of water supply system revenue refunding bonds, Series 2025.
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Anything you want to add on this one?
Very similar item, but for the water supply system. This one is actually going to be issuing a refunding for 3 different series that water had, 2013, 2015, and the 2016. Combined savings from all 3 of those should be a little over $5.5 million, or about 11.78% of the bond's par value.
Okay, excellent. Colleagues, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thanks. That brings us to item number 8. We've got an ordinance amending Section 1 of the Budget Ordinance 2025-11 for fiscal year 2026. This is amendment number 3.
So move.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Ms. Claren, is this you?
Yep.
Awesome.
Good. Yes, this one's me. For the series ordinance this morning, we have out of the 61st District Court, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration grant for about $400,000. The Police Department, the Federal Forfeitures Protective Helmet Replacement and Vice Unit Vehicles, $140,000. And then out of the Engineering Department, we have an extension of the ELC Primary Circuit in Wealthy Street Grant Award. That is through Eagle. That's $3 million there in the Capital Improvement Fund. We have an area abandonment at 30 Division Avenue and the Vital Streets Capital Fund for $527,000. Back to 61st District Court, we have a carry forward request. They had lapsed funds, contracts outstanding that need to be paid that were budgeted for last year. So we're carrying forward about $53,000 in the District Court Fund. And then finally, for the Fiscal Services Department, we have the Oracle Implementation Project. You'll recall back on September 9th, we voted on the contract extension. This is putting the budget in place related to that contract extension. We are using general fund balance to fund this. And I'll also remind the Commission that we did commit to doing a presentation for Commission at Fiscal Committee, I believe, the second meeting of November. So that's on your radar. So that appropriated contingent balance remains unchanged at $1.5 million.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, any discussion? All right, hearing, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. That brings us to item number 9. We've got our bid list resolution for today, October 21st, 2025.
So moved. Or do we need one for
Yep, yes, for this one we do, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, moved and supported. I'll turn it back to you, Ms. Claren.
Myself and the department, as well as the purchasing managers here, if there are any questions, I don't know if anyone's cringing because number 1 is snow plowing. But besides that, fairly routine.
Yep. All right, thanks. And that is on page 73 for those interested in reading through the list. So, colleagues, any questions on that?
Nope.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. These last two we do not need a motion
There
for.
we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Good, yeah, good memory. Item number 10, we've got Comptroller's warrant report for the period of September 23rd, 2025 through October 6th, 2025 in the amount of $41,148,527.02 and small claims third quarter 2025 and monthly travel report. So I'll turn it to our City Comptroller.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So we have a few reports here this morning. The first report, our warrant report, shows that cash payments were released totaling approximately $41.1 million, which includes approximately $6.1 million for our employee payroll expenses and just over $122,000 for income tax warrants. In terms of quantity, 190 tax refunds were issued and 1,183 checks and electronic payments were issued. These funds were issued for payment by individuals not in the City Comptroller's office and not in accordance with the terms of the city charter. The second report we have for you this morning is our quarterly small claims report for the third calendar quarter of this year. So from July through September 30th, a total of 12 small claims were paid out, totaling just over $23,000, and the details of each of those claims are also contained in the report. And then the third and last report we have here for you this morning is the August fiscal year-to-date travel report, which just details travel spend by department. And that report is showing $310,000 on a budget of approximately $2.3 million has been spent. And those are the 3 reports that I have for you today.
Awesome, thanks. We'll go ahead and receive and file those, and then that brings us to our last item, number 11. We've got our Treasurer's Report for the period of September 24th, 2025 through October 7th, 2025, and I'll turn it to our City Treasurer.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
With a report today, just a little bit more added verbiage on what we just purchased from RBC, some of the bonds that we were able to, actually, RBC is a broker dealer you approved last commission meeting, but one of the offerings that they were the lead underwriter on was some social bonds. So I wanted to really spell out a little bit more about what that is. And so those bonds are actually in Freddie Mac, which is a federal home loan mortgage company, and Federal National Mortgage Association, commonly known as Fannie Mae. Social bonds are housing projects. So it's not only in Michigan, but also across the country. So we're talking about single and multifamily housing units that we're able to invest in these social bonds, which really critically supports what our strategic plan is trying to create that type of housing. And so that's something that we really, when we saw that, it was like, quick, let's get involved with this, and do we have the funds available to make these investments? And so working with our investment officer, Mr. Levi Bolt, we're able to go out and acquire some of those social bonds. And so that really is, when we see those types of opportunities, we want to be prepared to take those, and when it fits our investment portfolio to do that type of work. We are looking at potentially 2 more rate cuts before the end of the year. They're projecting a high probability that there might be 2 more 25 basis point rate cuts before the end of December. So that's encouraging, maybe to see some of those rates come down, maybe spur some more economic growth, and maybe help our consumers with rate reductions that they might be able to achieve with whether they're either buying a car or buying a home or refinancing their home, that maybe there's some relief out there for them. It doesn't bode well for our investment opportunities because, obviously as rates go down, we can invest at a higher rate, but that's not our primary objective. Our primary objective is safety of our funds, liquidity of the funds to support our operation, and followed by yield. We like to earn as much as we possibly can, but that is our third objective. One thing I do want to share with you, and this is my happy note on page 2 of my report. I'm giving you an update on our GR Pay It progress. We've been very fortunate and blessed over the years that back in December of 2016, having conversations with Mayor Bliss and commissioners and moving forward an initiative to get an online payment channel to really support our community and actually achieve greater results for the Treasurer's Office in terms of efficiency and process improvement and everything else that we like to focus on. When you look at it, we're already projecting that this is going to be our highest year ever. Collecting $170 million electronically through the GR Pay It system. It started out at $30 million. So we've had double-digit growth now for 9 straight years, and it continues to grow. But again, we talk a lot about our organization and how we like to celebrate wins. This is a win that has continued to repeat itself year after year. If I could, and I've documented it in my report, if I could present an ACE award to every contributor, every department, who's been here, who's left, who's retired, whose future will be with us. We always say the ceremony would run long, and they'll start the music and play me out. We'll fade to commercial. I really want to share the fact that with former Mayor Rosalind Bliss, numerous city commissioners, 2 city managers, and then the dedicated teams across more than a dozen different departments, from treasurers to executive to water, sewer to public works, mobile GR, comptroller's office, fiscal services and purchasing, community development, 311, communications team of the city attorney's office. We wouldn't have been able to achieve these results. And this is really, truly a collaborative team effort across the organization. As I was trying to figure out how many people were there, it's well over 100 current and former city staff members. So far, we've collected $840 million since we launched this program. By this time next year, I'm hoping to tell you that it's now $1 billion collected. It's almost like McDonald's serving hamburgers and the number changes on the sign. Just to give you another perspective, 4.1 million payments have been processed, and 90% of those are customers that are our registered users that have embraced this technology, embraced this channel. And I really could not have done it without the rest of the city and the staff and the different departments' participation and their thoughts, their ideas, their collaboration to really build a very successful program. We have won 6 different national awards, and it is something that is currently being looked at around the country. We're one of those beacons in municipal finance, where how we collect these electronic payments. So I really wanted to highlight what the accomplishment of this organization has done.
Yeah, thanks. I always appreciate your willingness to give credit to, the rank and file members of our city staff that make these things happen. So appreciate you giving that shout out. I've used GRPay myself many times. It's super easy, very intuitive, and I know makes both, your lives easier and ours as well. So thanks for that. Colleagues, any questions or what's that? Nothing. Okay. Questions or thoughts? All right. Sounds good. Well, hearing none, we'll go ahead and receive and file that report then. And then that concludes our business for today. So we'll go ahead and adjourn at 8:50.
The time is 9:15. We're going to get the community development meeting started. Item number 1 is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit for Image Engineering Special Effects for indoor special effects at the Van Andel Arena in connection with a Day to Remember and Yellow Card Tour on November 4th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Supported. Good morning.
Morning. It's pretty much a typical show this time, so.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is a resolution approving a grant application to the Michigan Department of Transportation Transportation Alternatives Program to be matched with an estimated city share of $110,000 in connection with the East Beltline Shared Use Non-Motorized Facility at the I-96 Bridge Project. Is there a motion?
Support.
Moved and supported. Any additional information? Staff?
Yeah, this is a project that's in connection with an MDOT project to reconstruct the bridge over the East Beltline Bridge over 196. The project would be built in 2027. The overall estimated cost is about $3 million, of which $2,053,000 would be paid for with the TAP grant funds. This will provide connectivity to the trail network and ultimately connect downtown Grand Rapids with Ada Township through about 25 miles of trails.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Item number 3 this morning is a resolution improving an agreement with MDOT for the reconstruction of Cesar E. Chavez Avenue from Hall Street to Tenhoff Court and authorizing a $2,578,645 for the local share of project costs. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, Mr. McCall.
Yes, this project is the final project of 4 different projects we've had out there over the last 5 or 6 years. There'll be 25 lead service line replacements, pavement reconstruction, sidewalk replacement, new water main, storm sewer, street lighting. And we received pretty good bids from MDOT, about 6.7% under the engineer's estimate. So.
Wonderful, good news in terms of estimate. Are there any questions or discussion items on this?
I do, Chair.
Commissioner Belshak.
So as you know, this is an area that's been heavily impacted by construction over the last several years. There were some business owners that really suffered last year or last time around. And so I have a couple of questions off the bat, but also if you could just address what is the plan to help people and be more attentive in the area? Have we worked with any of the business associations? Have we been more, do we have a plan to be more intentional to walk alongside people as they're experiencing this? The other part is, can you help me understand if there's an overlap in any of this construction to the area that was previously worked on, and how many people, businesses might be affected? That was a lot, sorry.
I'll see if I can remember it all. There is really no overlap. The project last year reconstructed the Hall Cesar Chavez intersection. This work is kind of just north of there, so kind of the north limits of that intersection. So I guess the good news is there'll be much better connectivity with Hall Street and Cesar Chavez being open, and also MLK and Cesar Chavez to the north will be open, which kind of helps people feed in to the business area through some of the secondary streets. I do know the project last year was really challenging, just with the topography. There's a large hill going down to Godfrey, and where it connects, there's Plaster Creek. So, I do realize access was really tough there.
I think there were also some challenges with the way construction was done, and some accidents that happened with like cutting Wi-Fi and different things, and when cables were, by the construction crews. And just, again, my question is about how are people, and this is something we can be thinking about across all of our construction, but when we're in affected neighborhoods, people really suffer, especially when you're in an area over and over again. And I know that MDOT gives us money, so we want to take advantage of it, and things like that. We're not always in charge of the timing. But when I talk to the residents of this neighborhood, they feel very targeted. They feel like they've been, for whatever reason, disrupted multiple years in a row, whereas they look out into the rest of the city and say that might not happen other places. So
I'm wondering if Ms. Behrens might want to speak to this, because you led a lot of our evolving approach to preparing for construction season.
Yes, ever-evolving approach. And certainly, we've heard some of those same themes that you've raised, Commissioner Belshak, and if there's ways that we can help you amplify that, certainly this isn't a targeted process. When we have big reconstructions like this, we phase it over time, and so it isn't a targeted effort. It is an investment that the city is making in a number of different infrastructure pieces, and it was really large, and so needs to be phased in order to be able to manage alternative routes and do all of those things. So if there's ways we can share that messaging, that would be great. We have done a lot of work on improving our processes. Some of it will be just the more accessibility of boots on the ground during construction. So, for example, the Wi-Fi thing you noted was something that we only heard about when we proactively asked. It's not a thing that alarms, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't set up an alarm, it doesn't like have water, it's not visible. So when we heard that from the owners, we then explored it with the utilities and discovered what happened. So we are making improvements to ensure that people know who the project manager is, that we have people proactively talking to businesses. Are things not playing out the way you had anticipated? We have some improvements in how we coordinate just signage and wayfinding, so the business owners have more of a chance at the front end to give us some feedback. You might have seen some of that play out actually on Monroe Center. That kind of businesses are still open signage had its own flavor, because we talked to the business owners and said, what would you like it to say? And so instead of just businesses are still open, it said something like, don't let the sign, don't let the barricades fool you, we're still open down here. So those sorts of improvements to just get a little bit more relationship built between the businesses and the city as we go through these major investments, so that folks can work with us through that process, and at the end, we're confident that it's going to be a great project that contributes to the neighborhood and the community on the whole, and hopefully folks are seeing that and feeling that in the other phases of the project that have opened to date.
It is good to note that somebody will be more proactive out there. I would suggest too, thinking about putting things in Spanish for this neighborhood, and I would also just note that it's still a disruption to a lot of people's lives, but if we can also remind people that getting your lead service lines replaced is a really vital, important thing for health and safety, that would be good. But I'll be watching to see how well this goes. The neighborhood's going to need a lot of extra love and care to feel good.
Thank you, Commissioner. Others? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 4 this morning is a resolution awarding a contract with Groundhog Excavating and Landscaping LLC for replacement of private lead lines at various locations in the amount of $534,792, with a total project cost not to exceed $635,330. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. McCall?
Yes, this project will replace approximately 165 private lead service lines. They're primarily in the southwest quadrant of the city. The city has replaced approximately 8,000 lead service lines to date and has an additional 1,150 on contracts, kind of awaiting scheduling to be done. We received 4 bids on the project. The low bid was approximately 14% under the engineer's estimate, and they will be utilizing 7.33% MLBE participation. So.
Any discussion?
Happy to, sorry, go ahead.
So are they going to be working on the Cesar Chavez?
No, those will be done, contracted by a subcontractor on that project.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I was just going to say I'm happy to see the MLB component. I always encourage people, contractors, to continue to expand their network.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 this morning is a resolution awarding a contract with Aero Roofing and Supply Incorporated for LMFP Roof Y, BB, and EE improvements in the amount of $317,844. I think we're missing a $sign there, with a total amount not to exceed $460,000 and $460,484. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Mr. McCall, anything you want to add on this one?
Yeah, we're replacing 3 projects out at the Lake Michigan filtration plant. They've all reached the end of their service life. They do have some active leaks that are being addressed. We received 3 bids on this project. The low bid was 20% under the engineer's estimate. They're not utilizing any MLBE on this, just due to the kind of specialized nature of the work. There's not really any work to subcontract out.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is a resolution improving an increase of $125,000 for the preventative maintenance of Pearl Street Bridge over the Grand River, Burton Street Bridge over Grand Elk Railroad, and Hall Street Bridge over Grand Elk Railroad. Is there a motion?
Support.
Just supported. Mr. McCall?
Yes, this increase was related to work on the Pearl Street Bridge. Out of the 3 projects, during construction, there's an arch that supports the sidewalk. Some deterioration in that concrete was found. A specialized consultant was brought in to evaluate that and recommend a repair method. So we've restored the concrete cross-section, which was deteriorated. So it's more safe. I guess it was found to be safe, but not, it needed to be repaired so it didn't get worse. So the cost was actually much more than this, but the grant paid 75 or 80% of it. So this was the local share that the city has to pay.
Wonderful. Any questions or discussion?
I guess I'm just curious, just to confirm, this was not something that could have been anticipated in advance or any visible pieces that could have been inspected beforehand?
So, on top, so the sidewalk had deteriorated quite a bit, and there was a lot of debris had fallen on top of this arch. So they used like vacuum trucks to remove all this debris, and then that was when they were kind of sounding the concrete to see what needed to be repaired, and that's when they determined that it was kind of like in this kind of punky condition, which just didn't really have much structural integrity.
The concrete itself was no longer holding?
Just in one of the 5 spans.
Okay.
Yes, so.
Well, thank you for fixing our bridge. We want to make sure we don't fall in the river.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is a resolution accepting trail and access easements at Oxford Street and Godfrey Avenue in connection with improvements to Oxford Trail.
Support.
Just supported.
Yeah, this resolution's for 7 easements. They're all from one property owner. Just needed to construct the trail and ultimately be permanent right away for the trail. But ultimately, it's going to go from it'll be expanded from Hall to Oxford Street. It's kind of the new part of the trail.
Wonderful. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All in favor? Aye. None opposed. Motion carries. You have to prepare for that consent agenda properly. Item number 8 is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for November 18th, 2025 to consider the establishment of a neighborhood enterprise zone for the 125 Ottawa redevelopment project located at 125 Ottawa Avenue. Is there a motion?
Support.
Motion supported.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to call attention to the fact that we have a public hearing for the Brownfield Plan amendment tonight at Commission, and normally we would take the district, this memo before you, and that plan amendment at the same time, and so forgive the delay on this. But this is, just to jog the memory, this is our second office to residential conversion, working with Sam Cummings downtown. This will be the conversion into 36 residential apartments. The project qualifies for a 15-year NEZ, which is the most we can provide based on the inclusion plan goals at 30%, and also the housing commitment, which is 20%. So 8 of the 36 units being reserved for 60% AMI or below. And that's part of a pursuit for the Michigan Neighborhood Program at MISHDA. That's part of the reason that we see that. Happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any. Colleagues, any questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 9 is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for November 18, 2025, to consider establishing an industrial development district for Falk Material Wood at 1920 Northridge Drive Northwest in the Walker View Industrial Park. Is there a motion?
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms. Reniero?
Yes, this is, so just to, just overall zoom out for a quick minute, industrial property tax abatements allow for a company to apply for abatement on real and personal property. The act allows us to both take the district and the certificate at the same time. So the next item is the certificate, which has more information in the memo because of the application. But this is related to Falk, which is up in our 425 in our partnership with the city of Walker. The company supplies insulated metal panels for walls, roofs, and facade applications. And this proposed project is the construction of 82,500 square feet of production facility, which will approximately cost $8.9 million in improvements and add 14 new employees. The benefit here on the abatement is, or on the income taxes specifically, is split with the city of Walker. We have a third and they have 2/3 just because of the origin of where this is actually located. So, happy to answer any other questions or questions.
Colleague, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item number 10 is a resolution scheduling a public hearing to consider an application for an industrial facilities exemption certificate filed Falk Material Wool for a $8.9 million project located at 1920 Northridge Drive Northwest in the Walker View Industrial Park. Is there a motion?
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Nero?
Nothing else to add at this time.
Okay. Any final questions on this, colleagues, or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Lovely seeing you all. It's 9:32. Meeting adjourned.
I'm going to call Committee of the Whole to order, and our first item of business is a proclamation. So I'm going to go to the podium and read it. I should frame this. This is a Lights On After School proclamation, and who should I have join me at the microphone? City Manager?
Ms. Harris should come up with her crew.
I see a number of the usual suspects from the Mayor's Youth Council here, so I assume that they're here partly because of this proclamation. This is a proclamation on Lights Out After School, and I will read it. Research shows that children who regularly attend after-school programs improve their self-confidence, performance, and school attendance. And over 8 in 10 parents in Michigan say after-school programs help them keep their jobs. And after-school programs inspire career and skill development, as well as physical and mental wellness and support learning. And these programs require investment from all sectors to ensure that after-school programming for all young people is sustained. And because the city is committed to supporting quality after-school programs for young people, therefore, I, David LeGrand, Mayor of the City of Grand Rapids, proclaim October 23 of this year as Lights On After School Day in Grand Rapids, and call on all residents to lift up the importance of out-of-school time and urge everyone to support this day, being celebrated across the nation, and shine the brightest of lights on programs that provide opportunities for young people before school, after school, on weekends, and in the summer.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So thank you, Mayor, and good morning to everyone. Good morning to our city commissioners, our city manager, and other appointed officials and staff. Grand Rapids is one of 8,000 communities around the nation celebrating the impact of out-of-school time programs. For every one young person attending an out-of-school time program in the state of Michigan, there are 4 other youth on a waiting list. That amounts to 750,000 youth. Our Communities Children manages an out-of-school time system-building effort called the Expanded Learning Opportunities Network, ELO for short. Our purpose is to promote and align community efforts in the provision of quality out-of-school time programs. And we have some members in our audience today, including the Grand Rapids Symphony, the Granville Avenue Arts and Humanities, and we also have members such as Diatribe, Girls Coal Academy, the Grand Rapids Children's Museum, Marvelous Lifestyles, Kids Food Basket, First Tee, MASS, Michigan After School Partnership, and others. If you are here, please wave your hands. Now I want to acknowledge Tiffany Young, who is our ELO Leadership Council Vice Chair, to the mic to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having us. I just want to give an opportunity to just thank you all for the commitment that you have to supporting us at the ELO Network. Our mission is to just really support the providers in our city. Right now, we currently have over 30 committed members as providers and over hundreds of individual members that show up to trainings every year, individual celebrations. What this does is just establish a super strong, committed, quality, safe opportunity that gives our city just an opportunity to have a united front against after school in this city. And it makes kind of magic happen, to be honest, more than anything, when it comes to funding and pulling into the city. I don't know if you are aware of like the 32N funding that's coming down from the state level, but we have more than doubled that funding in the city over the last 2 years, and that is because of the EL Network and the commitment that we've had. So we just want to celebrate that more than anything this week and celebrate the work that the providers are doing, and just thank you more than anything for being on board with us with that and the work that you continue to do in each of your areas of the city. So thank you so much.
I also want to give a special shout out to the Grand Rapids Children's Museum. Last night we had a Lights On After School pre-bash, and we had about 70 young people at the museum celebrating the importance of after-school programs, including the Mayor's Youth Council. So you see our young people in the back here. Of our Mayor's Youth Council members, we have Eli Hajar, who is a 3rd Ward resident and a 12th grade student at City Middle High School. And he is going to talk a little bit about, just very briefly, about the importance of out-of-school time programs, and particularly the Mayor's Youth Council.
I'll start by saying that if you had told me a year ago that I'd be standing up here speaking in front of the City Commission, I wouldn't have believed you. A year ago, I was someone who was unsure of their path. I lacked purpose or direction. Outside of school, I wasn't really sure who I was. That would all change when I joined the Mayor's Youth Council. I met role models in Mr. Laraway and Miss Harris. I was able to contribute to important discussions about my community, and I was able to advocate for the city of Grand Rapids and its youth. Today, I look forward to every meeting. I have found a true sense of belonging within this program. I've gained direction in what I do every day within my communities. And I am just one example of the value of after-school programs. Believe me when I tell you that after-school programs truly give our youth life. They are crucial in protecting our well-being and allowing us to thrive. Programs like the MYC are key in ensuring our success and happiness outside the classroom, and I ask that you all continue to support programs like the Mayor's Youth Council. Thank you.
Yeah. So anybody involved in this who wants to come up for a photo, now's your chance. Don't be shy. Commissioners usually want to be involved in it too, so we're just all going to be up here for a photo. Come on up. Eli, don't be shy. Anybody else from the youth council want to come up? Come on up. Anybody?
And our ELO providers too.
Anybody from the ELO who wants to be in, don't be shy. It's not going to break the camera if there are more people in the picture.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Because we're sending it to the state. Come on.
Second row.
You all are young and able.
Tall in the back.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're as tall as you are. We'll be just fine. You always look better. They're professionals. They can do it.
Right on.
Good job, everyone.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, next item on our agenda is a resolution providing an agreement with the City of Wyoming. And to speak to this, we have, I assume, someone from Water and Sewer.
Morning, Commissioners. Jared Grabinski with Environmental Services. This resolution before you is a 6-month trial to accept Wyoming's municipal wastewater sludge at our water resource recovery facility.
So moved.
Sorry.
Support.
Sorry. So we would like to accept the municipal sludge from City of Wyoming into our concentrated waste digester as an alternative feedstock. The goal of this agreement is to explore opportunities for collaboration between both of our cities to find something that would be fiscally beneficial for both of us. If we achieve positive biogas production from this trial period, our next step would be switching out some equipment so that we can have a longer-term period in doing this. And at that point, I'm sure we'll be back before this body to give you any updates as needed.
Yeah, Commissioner Purdue.
Good morning. A quick question. I saw in the memo that that the initial plan is for this to be temporary. So can you just talk a little bit about, is it the intention to be temporary? Is this more of a pilot period?
Yes, so this is a 6-month trial period right now. Our existing equipment is not really set up for what we're trying to do. So we're trying to work with Wyoming to explore some possibilities on if it will really work. So we have some equipment that isn't designed for the particular solids content that's going through the digester right now. So this 6-month trial period is essentially to see if we get positive biogas production. If that happens, we're going to go ahead and switch some pumps and some piping to allow for that thicker viscosity fluid to be moved through it. And at that point, we'll make some capital improvements to make it long-term.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I had one quick. So are we taking all their solids, or are we taking some?
As the ultimate goal. You'll see in the thing it's retroactive to September 1st. So we've been working with Wyoming. They've been having some struggles on their land application side. They land apply their biosolids. We send our biosolids to the landfill. So we've been working with them for a few months now, not only drafting this agreement, but helping take a portion of their solids. We can't take all of it up until the point where we get this equipment upgraded. Once we get the equipment upgraded and changed out, then we'll look at accepting everything that they don't want to land apply through our digester.
Okay, and can you, in layman's terms, I know they've been essentially using waste for fertilizer for a long time, and we don't, which seems like a really good idea to me, in my layman's understanding, and my amateur farm understanding. Fertilizer is good. So, what do we do with the result of our biodigester right now? I mean, potentially that's still got fertilizer value if it didn't have heavy metals, contaminants, whatever. I'm guessing Wyoming has a whole lot less industrial input, and that's why they're able to do land application and we're not. But can you walk through that a little? And I know what the federal standards are. I know all of the reasons. I know all the parameters they're dealing with. I guess the question is, we're not. Is there any hope for us to do that? Is there any way that the biodigester could then have its ultimate byproduct, or when it's done being digested, is there any possibility for fertilizer use for any of the results?
So traditionally, we have not land applied basically because of those inherent risks of PFAS, heavy metals, pharmaceuticals in the sludge. We just don't want to put that on the land because there's always that, comeback later years will be litigated or something. However, the city of Grand Rapids, for the water resource recovery facility, we're working with Office of Sustainability and other community partners to go ahead and look at what the next step is for us, whether that be biosolids drying, looking at composting with Public Works, maybe adding it to their food scrap program and stuff, maybe mixing it together for compost that we could then, get back out in the community as a beneficial reuse product. We're also looking at biochar, stuff like that. So we are looking at using our biosolids in an alternative way. We just haven't quite got down that whole process yet and found capital funding for it and the like, but we're looking at doing something more sustainable. Right now, we're, made big strides with the digester as far as, reusing that. We've reduced our solids by 40% going to the landfill in the last 5 years, so we've had serious savings with, chemical costs, trucking costs, and impacts on the environment in that way. So we're still looking at those next steps. We're in talks about that now.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I'll just, if I could, just add that the bigger picture, since we've had to change our portfolio with the change with DTE and the Rapid partnering with us, I think this adds another potential long-term partner that will help our revenue model and forecasting as we initially intended. So hopefully this will become long-term.
That's the hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, then I will call the question. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. That takes us to our next item, resolution pertaining to police and fire retirement system collective bargaining agreement. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Good morning. Molly Claren, CFO. This item is really a housekeeping item brought before you. It probably looks familiar from when we brought all those bargaining agreements forward. We had something similar to this. In speaking with the retirement office, we realized the ordinance as it was written that we approved did not include the complete table. So while our bargaining, the changes that we voted on earlier back in, I believe, August, September. While we voted on the changes to the officers and command union, it didn't contain the other two sections of the table that address the retirement offerings for the fire chief and the police chief and deputy chief. And the police, I should say the police chief that's retired, that person that's in the system. So we require the complete ordinance to adopt. So this is really just cleaning up what we already voted on. So, yep.
So this sounds like something we should definitely discuss for half an hour.
Well, let's go. It's retirements. Yeah. Get out my actuarial reports. Here we go.
So any questions or comments, commissioners? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And that brings us to a more robust discussion, perhaps, and Mr. Davis is coming up. This is a resolution updating our EBO policies. We had fairly involved discussion about this earlier when the proposed change was brought in front of us, as I'm sure you all recall. But for the public's benefit, this is our second bite at this. We're at the resolution stage. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Davis, are you waiting for your computer to catch up with you, or do you want to start talking?
I am waiting for the slides to come up, but here they are. So good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to give this briefing on our proposed updates to policies and guidelines governing the city's equal business opportunity programs. So the real purpose of this discussion today is to talk about the EBO suite, or the Equal Business Opportunity Suite of programs here in the city of Grand Rapids. So there's really three parts that we'll talk about, and it's divided in three parts. So there's the City Commission policy updates, which is what we're here to ask you about today. There are also administrative guidelines, which fall under the discretion of the city manager, and those are the operational changes to our bid discount structures and implementation procedures and policies. And then there's also the MLBE certification part of this, and that's updates to policy 04-01. So there's a lot to talk about when we talk about the Equal Business Opportunity Suite of programs here at the City of Grand Rapids, because we are very intentional about making sure that we advance equity in these spaces. Thanks to some amazing work that's been done by Ahmad Hardy, who joins me here today, and also Alvin Hills, we've come up with this house to really explain or provide an analogy to understand the EBO suite of programs. So there's the City Commission Policy 600-12 and 600-15. City Commission Policy 600-12 is for construction, and there's also administrative guidelines attached to that for 600-12. So when we talk about the City Commission Policy, obviously that is a City Commission Policy, and therefore to change that, we need the consent of the City Commission. However, the administrative guidelines attached to that and administrative policies are under the City Manager's authority. When we look at the administrative guidelines for 600-12, it applies to construction-related bids. It defines bid discounts and MLBE subcontractor incentives. There's 17 in total. And it also works in partnership with the engineering department. When we look at City Commission Policy 600-15, that's about goods and services. So the administrative guidelines for that apply to professional services or goods procurement. And it's similar to the discount framework for 600-12, but it's non-construction. So there's only 13 of those in total. And it works in partnership with the purchasing department and their procedures. Then you have Administrative Policy 04-01, which is MLBE certification, which is often what we talk about when we talk about this EBO suite of programs. That Administrative Policy 04-01 governs the eligibility for all aspirational MLBE companies. It also sets standards for ownership, location, and net worth requirements. The incentives are structured to increase utilization of these certified companies. So when you think about the City Commission policy, it's a high-level policy approved by the City Commission. The administrative policy is an internal operating policy approved by the City Manager, and administrative guidelines, which are detailed procedures or rules for implementing a City Commission policy or administrative policy, and the City Manager deals with that. So when we talk about the suite of programs, it's the best way to think about this is a house. It's all under one roof. They're all interconnected, but they're separate rooms, right? Each of these things operate in their own individual room. So there's separate rules and separate guidelines for each of them, but related to create our full Equal Business Opportunity Program. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. A.J. Hills, who will take us further in the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Good morning. This slide is really what we're here for today, to get commission support for mending the existing policies, both 600-12 construction and 600-15 goods and services. The updates that we are looking to make is to update the EBO, the MLBE certification eligibility language to be in alignment with 04-01. So right now, 04-01 has different or more updated language than the city commission policy. So we want to make sure that all of our policies are in alignment for the sake of the business community and navigating those things. Also, we'll be increasing the MLBE eligibility business size. That is a North American Industry Classification System. Whenever a company enrolls in the MLBE certification, prior was 25% of what the SBA deemed a small business. We wanted to bump that up to allow some other companies, to allow more companies to be able to fit our definition. So that is another amendment that we're looking to make there. Also, we're tying the net worth to the historical 2007 amount, which is the 242, but we're adding in the inflation language. And the reason for that is, to this point, the policy has read one number, but however, as we move forward, we want to make sure we don't have to come ask you all for inflation amendments as we move forward. So we wanted to include inflation language, so moving forward, that could keep up with the current year that we're in. And the last piece is the part of the MLB certification process is a net worth statement. We just wanted to add the language that net worth statement has to be completed by a CPA. We had questions of can other financial advisors or folks in the industry provide that statement. Best practices to be in alignment with the SBA, Small Business Administration at the federal level, is to have that completed by a CPA. Now we're into the administrative side of the House with policy 04-01, and this is currently under the city manager's authority here. What we're looking to do here is kind of, as I shared in that slide before, update our eligibility language to ensure that this policy is in alignment with the current city commission policies. The administrative guidelines, this is the meat and potatoes of how we do the work for both of those existing policies. So in the forthcoming slides, I'll share some updates that we are providing to both the 600-12 construction administrative guidelines as well as the 600-15 goods and services guideline. For 600-12 construction, first thing was language. We had some outdated language there that really spoke to might be past partnerships that are not in existence anymore. And we have some new providers and partners in the ecosystem. So we want to update that language to ensure that we are up to 2025 language within that administrative guidelines. So a lot of just updates and refreshment of language. We did add 2 new bid discounts though. One is for employee-owned businesses. These businesses are certified by a third-party organization similar to any business certification that's not administered by the city of Grand Rapids in regards to the employee-owned aspect of that, but we are looking for that to be recognized by a credential organization. And then the second piece is businesses who are aligned with Friends of Grand Rapids Parks practices. Simply, if they go over there and they commit to X amount of hours to do X amount of work, Friends of Grand Rapids Parks will allow them to partner, and they'll send us over verification that the said business completed their work there, and that really speaks to our bid discounts that are in line with environmental support. And last is the geographic focus. The current language in the administrative guidelines is for target market areas, and that those neighborhoods have changed tremendously since the last time this policy has been updated, and we'd like to update it to neighborhoods of focus to be more in alignment with geographic areas. Challenges to our current MLB growth and participation, limited capacity and frequently used MLBEs. So when we have big transformational projects, we have some companies that have been used for some time consistently, and then they have limited capacity. So what that does is we either A, can't use them, or B, price goes up. So we want to make sure that we're able to continue to add some more companies into the supplier side of things to help ensure that we're meeting projects on time and also being cost effective. that kind of speaks to number 2, over-reliance on a small group of firms. Bonding limitations is a huge challenge that we're looking to solve. We have our current existing bonding pilot going on, so any companies that are certified as a micro-local under 250,000 can be part of that bonding program that we have now. Gaps in engineering department pre-qualifications, I'll share a little bit more about that in the forthcoming slide, but pretty much what that looks like is we have a significant amount of our MLBEs that are not pre-qualified of over 250,000. So a lot of companies between 10 and maybe 250,000 that we're looking to focus on and grow. The one new bid discount that we're adding under 600-12 is our growth market discount. I kind of spoke to that in the slide before, but this is for any MLBE that's pre-qualified as a prime contractor under 250,000. And the why for that is in the slide shared before, we're looking to get more opportunities for smaller firms that are in the pipeline. So this is a direct opportunity for general contractors to utilize MLBEs under the 250,000 mark. We're looking to invest in them to help grow them over that 250 mark, which will help us on the supply side of things tremendously. And also, again, want to be in alignment with our city's equity and workforce goals. We're super excited about this bid discount pilot that we're looking to launch. So right now, under the administrative guidelines, we currently have a $100,000 5% cap on bid discounts. What that means is when a general contractor is bidding on City of Grand Rapids work, based upon the bid discounts that we have in our suite of or our toolbox of bid discounts, they could get up to a max of 5% discounted from that bid, up to $100,000 in value. And what we saw over time is the number of construction projects has increased, the dollar amount for construction projects has increased. So in talking to a lot of developers, general contractors, and our Monday group, we noticed that the current 5% isn't as competitive for higher dollar projects. So, and it comes into effect with projects over $2 million. So we're looking to pilot for 3 years a 10% up to $200,000 bid discount. Where we could see how effective that discount is in the far as the cap increase for further maybe institutionalizing the increased discount. However, in order to utilize the 10%, you have to use one of the 4 eligible categories, which is either MLB subcontractor, MLB growth subcontractor utilization, which I just shared, mentor protege. Mentor protege looks like an existing general contractor mentoring MLBE that is on our certified listing. That commitment must happen for a year prior to them applying for the bid discount with an agreement signed by both parties. So no company could just come in and say, hey, I'm mentoring. We actually have to sign off on that, and that's approved through an Office of Equity and Engagement. And then lastly, joint venture. We would love to see more MLBE firms be able to joint venture with bigger firms to take on bigger projects and do some great work here in the city of Grand Rapids. So at the end of this 3-year pilot, we'll hope to have the data that we can evaluate and see if this pilot was effective to bring back before you for possibly institutionalizing this long term. What informed us to explore the pilot was this data here based upon 2024 general contracting projects in our Office of Engineering. First bullet point, 14% of these projects could have been flipped to an MLBE with a higher discount. So what that looks like is currently on a lot of projects, you'll see that the second bidder who has the lowest price had an MLBE, but the discount wasn't large enough to be significant to bring them to the number 1 bidder, which would have been the lowest price. So we're looking to add that discount to help make those firms who are utilizing MLBE firms go from 2 to 1 in the bidding process to not only earn projects with the city, but also do more work with our MLBE contractors. 25% were unaffected by the discount level. So what that means to us is simply the discount level where it is it wouldn't sway sway either or. 41% had MLB potential but were not utilized. This also is a issue again when we're looking at cost comparisons and analysis as general contractors are making decisions. Sometimes our MLB suppliers might be a couple $1,000s over one of their other solicitors that they're coming to, and if that discount discount was greater, that'll be able to position a general contractor to utilize a firm that might have a higher face value on their bid because they know they're getting a discount on the back end. And the last piece is 10% where EBO ineligible. So sometimes we have projects where we don't have MLBEs that are specialized in those trades. So sometimes we aren't able to procure MLBE services on projects of that nature. Now we're going to a different room of the house. This is our goods and services end of the house, which is under our purchasing or in partnership with our purchasing department. Under new discounts, you'll see similar discounts the same discounts that we added to construction, we're looking to bring over to goods and services. We're also shifting the geographic language from target market areas to neighborhoods of focus. Again, want to make sure that all of our administrative guidelines 600-1215 are in alignment and working directly with each other. And currently, we're looking to, as we go into the future of this, now that we have our new ERP system that's rolled out, looking to collect some data over the next year to potentially pilot a bid discount increase on that side of the house or in that room of the house as well. So as we get some more data that we could evaluate, we'll see what we can potentially bring before you to make our goods and services room of the house more competitive for MLB contractors. Our final room of the house, which is the policy 04-01, our MLB certification. These are the changes that we are amending there, which is increasing the personal net worth to $375,000, which is in line with inflation for the year 2025. Second, ensure that all net worth verifications are provided by a licensed CPA. And then lastly, we did change the amount of extensions that MLB could be provided in the program. So right now, the term period is 9 years. After 9 years, you can apply if you still meet our size limit. You can apply for a 5-year extension. And now we're simply just saying you can apply for 2 of those, which would make 19 years in the program. And after that, you will sunset or graduate from the program to allow more companies to come into the pipeline and grow as well. This slide kind of details our journey before you of how we got here and the next steps that we're looking to do post the approvals and updates. We'll be going back out into the business community to help educate them on the updates to our policies and administrative guidelines for them to best utilize them to be successful on city projects. And at this time, we'll take any questions that you all may have.
Colleagues, Commissioner Knight.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. I know you guys, I think, presented to us a couple months ago on this information. A couple questions that I just had was, so if they have to be certified by a CPA, is there a program that helps them do that kind of work? Because you know that can be sometimes some lengthy time, and so and it's expensive with a CPA. And I know that the city does some work, and you guys kind of partner with community or Construction Allies in Action for some of the things that small businesses need. But that was one of my questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Actually, a lot of challenges for small MLB contractors is the back office financial CPA access. So right now, we actually have a partnership with Hawkins CPA, a local minority-owned CPA firm, and they provide our net worth statements for companies who don't have a CPA. It does come at a cost, though. So right now, we're about $750 per certification. So that has helped increase the amount of MLB certified significantly, especially over the last 3 or 4 years. So as we look to move forward, I think it's a great opportunity for us as a city to invest in that opportunity long term, because it is currently grant funded. So once that grant runs out, we'll have to figure out how we could best support and continue the partnership to remove that barrier.
Yeah, and that was kind of where I was going, because I know that they were providing they were providing supports for the smaller businesses to receive some of their certifications, their MBE, their WOSB, all of those things. And that's
Gotcha.
a huge cost behind that too. So just wondering how those can all pair in a suite of services to be able to provide some of those discounts. And then when I brought up Construction Allies in Action, I know that they provide a number of services for costing and for bidding and for things like that for people who are a part of that particular program. So I don't know if those can work in conjunction, or if there's a way to, because $750 is, that's a lot of money.
It definitely is, and just to be want to provide clarity, that is something that we pay currently out of our a grant. So it's not a cost that's rolling directly to the MLB at this time. But once those grant dollars subside, it will be. Secondly, to your point about partnerships, Construction Allies in Action, they're a huge supporter of ours, and then they do help position companies for a variety of back office needs as well. So we've sit at a table with a variety of partners. They are a great partner, and we're looking to continue to work with them effectively to help solve some of these back office issues. And then the last piece I want to touch on, currently also under the grant, we do support MLBEs with becoming minority or woman business certified as an enterprise. Those certifications come from Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council for minority MBE certifications, and Great Lakes Women's Business Council for WBE, Women Business Enterprise certification. So yeah, we're doing as much as we can to support MLB contractors, but also positioning them not only to do good business with the city of Grand Rapids, but across industry, private and public.
Now, I know that you all do the help with those certifications. That is a one-time thing though, right?
Yeah, so what we do is we pay a consultant to essentially help you get your certification, walk you through the application, pay that initial application fee. So that depends on the revenue size of the business. It could be as little as $350 up to $1,000 based upon revenue. So we pay for the consultant and the application. And once you are awarded that certification, then their annual renewal is the responsibility of the business owner.
Okay. And then one more question about the bonding assistance piece. So up to how much do you all help with bonding on these? Because like the amphitheater soccer stadium,
yeah.
If you got to come up with 10% and your bid is like, $1 million?
Yeah. So what I'll say is our partnership on the bonding program, we're really working with the 3 CPAs to clean up the financials of those firms. So we're not investing in the actual bond portion of it, but in order to submit and apply for a bond, you got to have clean books and construction-related financials. So what we're doing is helping the back office for the companies in the program to get to that initial bonding application, have all the necessary documentation that they have, and to apply. We do know that Construction Allies in Action does support some of the bonding pieces of it, so they are supporting there. But to your point, Commissioner Knight, it depends on project and project size. So that bonding percentage varies based upon if it's your first bond, second bond, and then also the size of the project. So we don't touch that area of the work. However, Construction Allies in Action is a great partner in that area.
Okay. And my last one, sorry, I was writing notes. How do we notify businesses when they're getting to the end of their certification as an MLBE, so that it's time for them to get recertified or do an extension?
Yep, Mr. Hardy does annual. Let me reframe that. Biannual or every 3-year review periods of each MLBE. So simply every MLBE doesn't have to go through an annual review, but we kind of stagger it and roll it. So he's checking in with them regularly to ensure that they're aware of their graduation date, where then they'll have to essentially apply for the extension if they still meet the size of our program. But if they grow, which we want companies to do, we'll make sure that we celebrate them on their way to the next stage of growth for their company.
Commissioner Belcheck.
I was wondering on slide page 9, if you could just explain the thought process behind the discount structure. I'm wondering, why are we giving 3% to the lower and 5% to the higher? It seems like we would want to be encouraging all levels, and particularly the smaller levels, maybe more. So just explain that thought process.
Yep, so it's kind of a build upon our current MLBE utilization. So based upon the discount structure, companies who receive or invest or do business $25,000 to $75,000 with the MLBE will receive a 3%, and then as they do more business with the MLBE, their discount grows greater. So, Commissioner, for that one, we want to incentivize companies spending more dollars, doing more business with our MLBEs, which is why the 5% is geared toward the $150,000 to $250,000.
Okay, that makes sense. So this is the dollars they're spending versus the size of the business.
Absolutely.
I gotcha. And then do you know roughly how many MLBE folks businesses we have now certified?
113.
Okay, do you have any estimate or guess as to how many we could have in the city? Like if we were to be able to enroll everyone right now?
That is a great question.
Let me help with that answer
Yeah.
for context. So when we first started, I remember when Mr. Hill started, I think we were in 2019, we had 24.
24.
So we've made quite a lot of progress over the few years. So how many remain, we don't know, but I know we've quadrupled our participation.
Absolutely.
Do you know what year we started this whole thing?
Oh yeah, which one?
The 24 number.
Oh, that was 2018.
2018, 2019.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
And I would just say the support being able to help them with the network statement has really helped increase those who apply. Because before we'll give them some recommendations, but there's still a cost associated with that, which is a challenge for some operators.
Commissioner Perdue?
Morning. Thank you for all your thoughtful work on this. Excited to see or to hear the comprehensive update of the program. 3 follow-up questions. I'm starting kind of at the beginning, page 4, when you first talk about the net worth letter. That came up the last time that you all presented to this body, so happy to see that that was included. Can you talk a little bit more about the current inflation part of that and how that's calculated?
Yeah, so essentially, consumer price inflation or CPI. But long story short, inflation calculators that we use from the existing 242 put in the year that we're currently in, and it factors in inflation for the current period. So originally, in the inception of the policy and whatnot, it was 242, and that's how we got to the 375. Now was considering inflation from the time that the policy was created.
So essentially, if it was $242 in 2007, what are today's dollars?
Yeah.
And 242 in today's dollars. Okay.
No, it's 375 in today's dollars. That was the base of when it was created.
375 in today's dollars, but if next year, we have another 3.5% increase in inflation, then it'll continue. It'll continue to adjust.
And we factored in the inflation language, so we wouldn't have to come get it amended.
Exactly.
Each time.
Very thoughtful. Okay, 7, thank you for that. 7, page 7, reviewing the administrative guidelines, the new bid discounts. I'm just curious to learn a little bit more about the inclusion of Friends with Grand Rapids Parks, and is there an opportunity to also include activities outlined in our climate plan as well? Is there an opportunity to connect that here?
Absolutely. So, come on. Pass it over to my chancellor.
Good morning, all. To speak on the clean environment policies, how we came up with the Friends of Grand Rapids Parks was that they have an urban tree planting program. We wanted to incentivize businesses to work with, to increase the tree canopy coverage across the city. In our unique in innovative programs under the Clean Environment Policy, we are partnering with the Office of Sustainability to partner under under CAP policies. So what we're doing is that if a company is created their own program. We're going to ask the Office of Sustainability to look over their program and see if it follows their standards, because they are the expert up in that policy. And if they give the company the green light, then the Office of Equity and Engagement will concur with their thoughts.
So the partnership with Friends is more about tree planting on their property for this new business, or it's just supporting the tree canopy in general across the city?
Tree canopy in general across the city, with a special focus on the neighborhoods of focus.
Okay. Thank you. And then one final question, or really example, an analogy, and then question related to some of the challenges listed on slide 8, particularly the gaps in engineering department pre-qualifications. I worked with a gentleman who had a construction company, has been doing work with the city for years, and was having challenges getting bids. But what we found was that his pre-qualification levels had not been updated since like 2005, right? So talk about inflation. And by then he had done contracts worth multi-millions of dollars outside of Grand Rapids, but here his pre-qualification level is really low. And so we, by connecting him with the engineering department, we learned a little bit more about their process for pre-qualification. But I think there's an opportunity to be a bit more proactive in assessing and noting when a long time period, when 20 years has gone by, and what that means for qualification level. So I just wonder if you could talk a little bit more about how you may have or will work with engineering on some of the pre-qualification work. So if you could talk a little bit more about that challenge.
So what you spoke to is really a good scenario for that contractor, on the back end. But right now with engineering, that updating your pre-qualification is an annual or really project by project opportunity that's business owners facilitate. So there's not a annual renewal of pre-qualification. And what we understand is due to the number of firms that currently are pre-qualified, and then also ensuring that projects are able to deploy on a timely manner, we don't have an annual pre-qualification deadline or renewal period each year for a company. So that is a opportunity for the company to continuously be in talks with our engineering department to share updated information. But for that example that you provided, that is a huge missed opportunity just from not having that most up-to-date information, for sure.
Right. But you're saying that it'll continue to be the responsibility of the business owner to.
Yeah, I can't speak for engineering, but right now the current process is that business owners must update their pre-qualification as they have new projects, higher dollar projects, new references to ensure that they're appropriately represented under the pre-qualification process.
It might be a good opportunity for partnership. This person, I think, would have qualified for a lot of aspects of your program, and it truly was a missed opportunity. But I'm super supportive of this direction you're going, and thank you all again for all your hard work on it.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions. If you could look at slide 11 for me, I'm confused, so I must be missing something. The percentages there total up to 100, and you're looking at 51 projects. So I assume there's a non-zero number of them that got MLBE, MLBEs that got the bid. So when you add up all of the categories here, they don't include anybody who got the bid. So there were 51 projects in town. How many of them got the bid using the current MLBE architecture, and where are they in that basket?
We would have to grab that information. I don't have that offhand. Yeah, I would say we would have to get that information back to you for the number that was utilized, that was awarded a bid but had MLB utilization, correct? Is what you're looking for.
Right. I mean, the way this is laid out, it looks like nobody's getting it right now, and that can't be the case. So next question then is, of the bids that got awarded in this program, what were the total value of those contracts?
So we do have, we do have that data readily available, just not at the moment, but that's an answer that we could provide as soon as this is done.
Okay, well, the 7 projects that you say could have flipped, what was the value of those projects? Well, total. I mean, essentially, where I'm getting at here is essentially you're asking the commission to spend money. Because if we give people a discount, costs of construction go up by the implementation of the discount. So if we go from a 5% to a 10% bid discount, we're going to get a lot more businesses that are going to be then essentially getting bids by not being the lowest bidder, which means the city's going to be spending the money that's the value of that discount. So if we're going to be spending $100 million a year on this, that would be nice to know. On the other hand, if we're spending $20,000 a year on this, that would be nice to know. Like, well, this is a spending decision by the commission. And if you can't tell me what the dollar figures are for A, what we're doing now, or B, what you're modeling for, I mean, you've got a hypothetical here like these 7 would have gotten it if we had used the 10% discount. If I don't even know the value there, then it's tough to make a fiscally responsible decision.
I understand the question, Mayor. I would say that there's still a $200,000 cap, even with the amendment that's being proposed.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to take that at the highest, we do that 200 times the 7 projects.
It's $1.5 million.
Right, that we're talking about at the max, which will allow us to do what we've been saying at the city we want to do for a long time, which is increase our MLBE utilization at a number that, I mean, it's over $1 million, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a super large number compared to what we spend in construction.
Okay. So if you could find out for us what the total value of those projects would be, particularly the 7, because you sort of modeled out the universe with these proposed changes, how that would have laid out over last year. Next question then is, the renewal. Currently, people can qualify to be an MLBE and then renew once?
So currently, the first renewal is 9 years, as long as you still meet the extension period size for the business size requirements, you could renew for 2 years, for 2 5-year periods, I'm sorry. So it'd be a grand total of 19 years if someone was granted 2 extensions.
Okay, and now here's the question. That's for companies that still fit the criteria. So essentially you're sort of like renewing your mortgage or something. What if the company grows, do you inherently fall out of eligibility if you grow? And if so, have you given any thought to scaling? Because I hate to see an on-off switch. I don't like binary policies in any environment. So if you've got a company that barely qualified and they're doing great work and we love them and we want to see them, we're telling them to grow and they're saying, grow, now you're out of the program. Grow, now you don't get any benefit. Is there any thought to a graduated reduction in bids? I mean, like, I get we're voting on something now, today. The question is, in the future, have there's been any networking around, like, baby steps for getting people out of the program? In other words, say, like, okay, you got over our net worth requirement, so now we'll give you an 8% bid discount, not a 10% bid discount. And if your net worth's $500,000, we'll give you a 6% bid discount. I don't like pushing babies out of the nest, baby birds out of the nest, when if they're almost ready to fly.
Yeah. So right now, Mayor, that's a good point. The size requirement to not be able to be granted an extension is 50% of the SBA standard. So for this example, if the SBA deems concrete companies, small businesses at 20 million, once they grow past 10 million, then they'll graduate from the program, which means they're not micro anymore, but they're now a small business that's looking to grow. So it is based upon their NAICS code and that dollar amount that is handed down from the SBA. So it does vary per industry and type of contract.
I guess what I'm saying is, if you guys came back in a year and were like, hey, we'd like to scale this and baby step people out of the program, I would welcome that discussion. I mean, I get we're voting on a particular policy today, but again, imagine you've got a great contractor who's doing great work. They know the city, they know the processes. We're happy to work with them. We're proud of them. And then we're all of a sudden like, oh, you got to 50%. Ciao. I'd way rather see a graduated reduction of bid discount for companies as they grew rather than sort of a binary.
understanding feedback, Mayor, that's something we can consider for the future. This program is designed, the part we're talking about, that part is for micro local businesses. It wasn't designed for small businesses, so we've always tied it to that. But hearing that, we can consider what it looks like in the future.
Thanks. Okay, thank you all for the discussion. And I think we're ready to call the question.
And just to throw out, because I remember you all did this presentation, I just couldn't remember when, but I found it was in February, that you actually did the presentation that showed the numbers of dollars that have been captured by MLBEs in the community, how many were working, how many inclusion plans were submitted. You talked about the bonding program and those things, so you might want to just reshare that information out so that everybody can be refreshed on it.
Thank you, Commissioner. We can definitely go back and pull those numbers again.
Thank you. All right. Then I think we're at a vote. All in favor of the resolution altering the bid processes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our resolutions and to our first briefing. I believe Mr. Matthews is going to brief us on AI, the AI, city's AI Council and initiatives.
The other Doug is coming.
Oh, I thought it was
Doug
Mr.
Stark.
Matthews. Also Doug.
We like to keep it easy, so we only hire people named Doug. So, good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. It's been a minute since I've briefed this council. We have a whole new council, so just real brief. I'm Doug Stark. I'm the IT director for the city of Grand Rapids. I've been an IT practitioner for 25 years. First starting out as a teacher, teaching tech topics, networking, programming, web design, and then moving into a director role as a director of instructional technology, where I focused on implementation and integration of technology, as well as data center support and network support. I started here with the city in 2017 as the enterprise IT manager, and I've been the director of technology since 2019. So, been around a little bit. But I do appreciate this opportunity to brief you on our work regarding artificial intelligence here in the city. While AI is a widely discussed topic with a lot of hype and a lot of promise, it has become integral to a lot of our technology conversations today. Many of you have likely seen headlines like these about AI's potential impact. Stories predicting that AI will replace humans, that Skynet is imminent, that the machines will take over our jobs and our lives. And while some of these headlines reflect speculation and hype, others are already becoming a reality. Right here in the city of Grand Rapids, Acrisure recently announced a layoff of 400 employees, half of those local, as it automates accounting functions using AI. You may have also seen headlines like these, suggesting that AI is experiencing a bubble, comparable to the dot-com crash of the early 2000s. There are concerns about overinvestment in AI and its frameworks, with substantial hype but limited tangible outcomes. A notable statistic from a recent MIT report, which analyzed 300 public deployments of AI and conducted 150 executive interviews involving $30 to $40 billion in investments, revealed that 95% of those AI pilots failed to scale or integrate into existing workflows. This significant percentage highlights our current dilemma, sorting out what is hope, what is promise, and what is reality when it comes to AI's capabilities. As we proceed as a city, it will be important to be strategic and intentional about our implementation of AI. So today, what I'd like to talk with you about is the work that we have done around AI, discuss a bit about how our departments are already engaged with AI, and those that are exploring AI-powered solutions, and then also talk about our newly formed council on AI. So artificial intelligence represents a significant technological shift. Not a new concept. Machine learning has been around in some way, shape, or form since the 1950s. Recent advancements in algorithms, most notably with the release of ChatGPT in 2022, have brought AI back into the focus. So why AI and why now? One driver is that AI is currently transforming business operations, our personal interactions with businesses, and our personal interactions with technology in general on a day-to-day basis. This transformation is also altering expectations for how cities deliver services to their citizens. And the second driver is the City of Grand Rapids has consistently viewed technological advancements as essential for providing quality services. The department's commitment to using technology to enhance services contributes to the city's leadership in service delivery, and it has also pushed AI adoption forward here in the city. When implemented appropriately, AI can be a very useful tool. So the discussion on artificial intelligence is not new here in the city. Conversations began in 2022 with the release of ChatGPT. Our IT leadership group convened to discuss the topic of AI and its potential applications within the city. Two primary themes emerged from those discussions. First is the need for intentionality, and second was the necessity of governance. Firstly, any implementation of AI had to be deliberate. It could not be a case of uncoordinated adoption of various AI tools by different departments without considering security, continuity of services, or coordinated use. Secondly, there needed to be governance surrounding the use of AI. And this included establishing guidelines that promoted responsible and safe engagement with AI while encouraging its use rather than simply prohibiting certain actions. In 2024, Administrative Policy 24-01 was presented and subsequently adopted by the city manager. The IT leadership group's collaborative effort resulted in a well-received policy. Over the past few months, I've had the pleasure of presenting this policy to groups around the state, and it has garnered positive feedback from others who are also on this AI governance journey. Our policy highlights several key components. And just real quick, first and foremost, it aligns with the city's core values, in particular transparency and accountability, which are crucial in the context of AI. Secondly, it provides guidance for specific use cases, from generic inquiries to full automation. For instance, it details considerations staff should take when using generative AI tools like Copilot for non-sensitive queries, queries that don't involve city data or citizen data, as well as the protocols like human-in-the-loop principles for more complex scenarios involving data security and human oversight. Additionally, the policy emphasizes ethical principles, recognizing that data analysis requires context and reasoning beyond AI's current capabilities. It encourages staff to consider the ethics and equity of their data sources. And lastly, as a public institution, the policy reinforces the importance of data sharing and transparency, ensuring that insights gained through the use of AI are publicly shared whenever possible. Overall, Administrative Policy 24-01 is a comprehensive guide for the responsible and effective use of AI in the city, balancing innovation and safety and ethical considerations. Often when we think about artificial intelligence, we envision a singular system like Copilot. However, AI's transformational potential lies in our contractors and vendors enhancing their current tools and solutions to incorporate AI features. Many city departments already use third-party AI-powered tools. Examples include our cybersecurity program for network protection, generative AI for document creation, summarizing, image creation, counterpoint considerations, and things of that nature, FOIA processing and redaction to expedite requests, route optimization for vehicle dispatch, predictive staffing analysis, video analysis of sewer inspections for flaws and damage, and automated income tax document scanning to eliminate manual entry. These applications demonstrate how departments are currently using AI here within the city. We have various departments within the city that are strategizing and preparing to engage at the appropriate time in areas such as automated transcription, legal research, records and policy management, agentic AI chatbots, and geospatial imagery for planning. These departments are actively monitoring and observing the development of these tools and their potential applications. So the next step in the city's plan is to form an internal council on AI. This council, requested by the city manager, will include decision makers from departments around the city, as well as 1 or 2 advisors from universities who are leading in the development of the use of AI. Its purpose is to create a roadmap for AI investments based on needs, pain points, or advancements in the field of AI. The council will advise the city manager on where to allocate resources, considering costs, support, and upskilling requirements. The newly formed council will work together to develop the AI, or the city's AI Smart Strategy. So what is an AI Smart Strategy? An AI Smart Strategy involves implementing artificial intelligence where it is appropriate and aligns with our core values, not simply engaging AI to say we've engaged with AI. Our AI Smart Strategy would serve as a comprehensive framework that guides how the city adopts, integrates, and governs AI to achieve its goals effectively and responsibly. The key elements of this framework are ensuring that it is strategic, that it is scalable, that it's ethical, and aligned with our objectives. As this council convenes and forms its strategy and framework for action, we'll focus on a few key areas listed here. These areas include developing organizational objectives around AI, identifying high-impact use cases, and establishing a robust data strategy. We recognize that the effective use of AI depends on access to quality data. Merely pointing it at the internet yields both actionable results and irrelevant content. Therefore, identifying gold standards for data analysis is crucial. Additionally, we'll recommend upskilling and reskilling initiatives for our organizational development and HR departments to ensure that our staff remains at the forefront of service delivery. And this group will also examine ways to guarantee ethical AI usage and evolve the governance that was established in 24-01. Our initial policy was an early attempt that must adapt as the technology advances. And considering recent headlines indicating a lack of significant or reliable return on investment with AI, we'll develop a framework for measuring operational success. This will enable departments to implement AI strategies effectively, measure their success, and report outcomes. Assessing our ROI is a vital component of this council's work. And finally, we must monitor the sustainability impact of AI. As one of our core values is sustainability, it is essential to understand the environmental effects of expanding data centers and increased AI processing demands. So in summary, the city is well positioned to adopt AI due to its culture for using technology for effective services. As an organization, we've laid out a solid foundation with governance and in forming an internal group to help us develop a roadmap. That is all for today, and I'm open to any questions or comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Kilgore.
Thanks. Thanks so much for the presentation. I've been continuing to be cautious and prudent about our use of artificial intelligence. I think it's a nice weighing of what it can do for the city, but I also think real people can do a lot for the city. So this is nice to hear about the council, but I'm requesting for the city manager and for all of those involved a benchmarking of sorts to see how much we are using of this tool compared to cities of our size or other folks within the nation, and then also for the public and our students in the audience today. Can you review I'll ask you if you know of two of the most primary challenges that AI poses to our environment?
Two of the most, as far as from a sustainability impact,
Yes.
Again, the data centers require a huge amount of processing, and that amount of processing creates heat. And so water is the primary way to cool those data centers, and typically it is tapped from groundwater. Water alone is not sufficient, and so things are added to the water to help it conduct heat out. And so a lot of times that groundwater is either returned in a non-clean state or is not able to be returned to the ground. And so you've seen areas where data centers have gone in, tapped into aquifers, and the surrounding communities have dried up, wells have dried up and things. And I think that's one of the biggest one of the biggest, at least from a sustainability standpoint, that I can see.
Yeah, displacement of water. And then could you speak to also the extreme use of energy tapping into our powering? Could you speak to that as well?
Again, the large demand for power or for processing demands a lot of energy. And so they are primarily looking for ways to place those data centers in areas where they can tap into the grid. But again, it's one of those increasing strains on an already strained electrical system, right? As far as producing power for a lot of our electrified, I guess we'll say projects, right? Whether it be vehicles, cars, homes, things like that. But a lot of the electrification of traditionally fossil fuel powered items on top of the increased use of data centers.
Yeah, and we already have one in Kent County, right, at the old steel case
we do
for a
switch,
data center. I just don't think we have enough safeguards, and I know some of that is at the state level. I did a press conference. I recently worked with West Michigan Environmental Action Council. Now I'm with the Michigan Environmental Council doing environmental justice advocacy at the state level. So certainly interested to see how we actually quantify this. So we say evaluate. I'm hoping there can actually be some numbers. Once again, what is a benchmark? What does our use look like compared to other cities? How much energy are we using with these AI services? And what is the environmental impact for the region on how much water we're using for that? I'm hoping to see this going forward, or I will continue to, or maybe increase my opposition to these integrated services. So thanks again.
Sure.
Mayor. If I could. Thank you, Commissioner, for that comment. Let me, again, just put this in context for the commission and the public. We have various perspectives in the community on this dais. You've heard from Commissioner Kilgore about some of the concerns, and I've heard from some of the other commissioners here about accelerating the uses exponentially beyond what we are currently doing. So this approach that I asked to be put on the agenda today is our measured approach, our very well thought through approach. We, as you've seen, we've been thinking and doing this for a couple of years now and have been intentional where there are issues like in 311 where we can improve the quality of services as well as increase efficiencies. We are measured into it. We're not just going around telling every department, automate everything possible without regard to any impact, cost, et cetera. So I don't want to raise expectations of now that we are going to either be accelerating something or now we have this, this becomes a project where we're ubiquitously measuring everything we do against every other municipality. That I don't want to walk away with unrealistic expectations. The council is going to meet with internal experts. We're going to have well-informed experts from academia. And the reason why we have done that, because some of you asked for me to go get people from the private sector, which may have a vested interest in accelerating product or technology. So we're not trying to make this a profit center for anyone. And so the reason why we want the university expertise is to be objective. And I trust the partners that we've talked to, local institutions will help us do this in a very informed way. And as we get that, we will keep the commission updated. But I want you to know there are various perspectives on this. And I appreciate Commissioner Kilgore for being very candid and upfront about his. Others of you have not been as public in that. So I don't want to make it seem like this is a staff initiative to overutilize it. The police chief he's one of the ones that was the most sensitive. He said, artificial intelligence in policing is a very sensitive topic, and the police department wants to be very cautious in doing it. So I want the public to know we have been responsibly looking at this, and I even hesitated in having this, but because I've had so many various discussions, and it is part of our focus series, we just want to let the commission know that we are being very cautious and moving forward.
Mayor.
Thanks. Yep.
If I may, thank you. Thank you, City Manager, for that. But we passed our climate action and adaptation plan, so I don't think it's unrealistic. I'm trying to make sure we're in line with a rather progressive, well thought out, city-informed, resident-informed plan. And the use that we see, this is why I want actual stats, numbers for the community, to make sure we're not in opposition to this well thought out community-centered plan that we just recently passed. So that's the hope. Right? I'm not just saying, oh, well, let's start, getting more data just to make more folks do work, but in hopes that we are in line with the climate action adaptation plan.
Our chief sustainability officer will be on the council, and we'll make sure that that is at the forefront of most of our discussions.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for the briefing. It looks like we've got some comments. Commissioner Perdue, sorry, hand first.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Good morning still. Thank you so much for the presentation. Some takeaways that I heard during this presentation, and I think one of the strengths of our existing policy is that it is written to align with our values, and it has strong privacy concerns written into it and oversight. But it also talks about prohibiting bias, and by their nature and how they're created, these systems do have bias built in. So I want to flag that though our users might not be entering that into the system, what they're getting back from the system will likely be laced with bias. And so another reason to train up the human part of the interaction and use of these systems. So that's first. I also I want to talk about, kind of similar to Commissioner Kilgore, around what we measure. And without clear metrics, this idea of what is ethical use may become more symbolic than measurable. And so would love, kind of in that same vein, to think about how do we measure the success of the use, the efficiency, the accuracy, the user satisfaction, the data quality. I think those are really important metrics to signal how successful our use is, and how well it is aligned to best practices. And then finally, I don't think you touched on this, and I don't think we're here yet, is what I'm assuming, but I'd like you to just clarify. I'm wondering if we have currently or any plans to have resident-facing tools. So for example, I actually would love to see this integrated in 311, some sort of public dashboard, or even internally, how can we analyze all the data that we get from 311 to even more effectively look for patterns to better our service delivery. So my question to you is there are there any resident-facing AI uses currently from the city?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that there's a lot of planning going on in 311, again, not to speak for you, Lou or Angela, but I believe that they are in that planning stage. I know as we get deeper into AI being integrated in search, so I'm not sure about our website usage, if it is AI powered, as far as search on our website or not.
Okay.
Those would be the only two areas that I would know of that would be public facing.
Yep. Okay. Well, let me also add, I wish our treasurer was here, because as often as he can, he touts the efficiencies through GR-PAYIT. And one of the things I think we need to keep focused on is not just the direct supported tools of the city. It's what our other vendors offer, and many of them are public facing, and there may be other ways that we don't measure their utilization of it that has impact, but he has touted some of the efficiencies through GR-PAYIT as well.
Well, and I certainly want to thank you for, I think the framework is entirely appropriate. I think we may be at a, transition from horse and buggy to cars, so to speak. And we can say, oh my gosh, we really like horses and buggies, and, they use less energy, and maybe they use more water than cars. But this is clearly coming in the world. And so we absolutely owe it to our taxpayers to be able to have a thoughtful discussion about how we can, about how we can provide services better. And Commissioner Perdue, you're absolutely right. Like 311's an obvious place to start looking. And as far as I can see, is very good at aggregating patterns and being able to, and it can help us with planning. I mean, I used it the other day. I asked it, I asked it to give me a model for some street work, and it came up with a cost per mile to do some stuff, and suggested some places to do it. And it's not where the conversations stop, stops, but it certainly is a good thing to prime discussion and help us all get better at our jobs, and I think potentially help the city get better at its jobs. But at the same time, anytime there's a big change, you have to figure out how to handle that big change. And I think it's fair to say that the city of Grand Rapids is not going to stop AI happening. The question is going to be, how do we engage in this space because it's here? That's just the reality. And so how the city uses it, whether we use it well or poorly, and frankly, I don't think our benchmarks should just be our points of comparison are other cities. Our point of comparison is, how is this being used well in the world? And so, if Amazon's using it really well to help me find sneakers, maybe 311 can use it really well to help me, to point me to which department I should be talking to about the tree in my front yard that just fell down. I mean, there are lots of possibilities, and I don't want to overstate them. But this is exactly why I think it's great to have a planning committee, and I love, and again, city manager, kudos to whoever was involved in getting the academics involved, because I think that's going to be our best shot at a disinterested, not profit-seeking, outside of the city group of experts who can say, well, academics think about things like moral hazards and the bias and all that kind of stuff all the time. And one of the things that worries me about this space is that some of the early proponents of AI stop talking about ethics pretty dramatically, and we don't want to stop talking about ethics because, yes, this is something that's going to affect all humans on planet Earth, not just in terms of whether it takes their job, but the implications for full rollout of AI are something we're all going to have to pay attention to, because it goes ethically way beyond the implications of, does it help me code faster, or does it help me find the nearest bus stop? There are big implications here, and so having a group of people who are paying attention to this on behalf of the city and on behalf of our residents is really key. So thank you for putting this together.
Thank you. Again, I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
Just to finish my sentiments, I think we do need to embrace AI, but in a very measured, responsible, well thought out way. So also like that we have this kind of intersectional council along with our expertise here, and do hope that it can help us provide better services up front, that we do have some public transparency about where we are using AI tools internally and externally, and having those clear metrics. And we also have to be mindful of how that's impacting the context and the economy within the city. We just saw one of our largest employers lay off hundreds of folks because they found new efficiencies through the use of AI. And so it is going to drastically shift how we work, where we work, who's prepared for those jobs. And so I do think, though, that's not the core work of the city day in, day out in terms of basic essential services. It is going to impact our local economy and our community as a whole, and should be included in how all departments think about our work going forward.
And just to make a comment, I very much appreciate your comment and the mayor's comment around data. I think regardless of the public-facing output, the intentionality about looking at quality data sources and where our data sources lie, we'd all love to have a no bias button that we could just check. But again, we know it relies on context, right? Historical context, present day context. There's a lot of that, and having our department leaders be focused on that data strategy, I think will help. Even if it doesn't come out in an AI, it helps us better with insights here within the city to help us run.
Can you create like a closed environment where, let's say, engineering is only pulling from like those certified industry engineering leaders, so it's not just like Google?
Yes, that's what we're talking about is creating data lakes and data warehouses here within the city that we can rely on.
Right.
But we'll allow intersectionality between departments' data to allow that kind of cross-referencing of how perhaps road conditions or road design might impact things like public safety and things like that. So building out those data sources to help weed out what may naturally contain bias or what may naturally contain bad data. Absolutely, thank you.
So, I guess I also am glad to hear, I assume that, this is a group that ought to have the capacity to look at, again, something I don't know offhand, but presumably different companies in this space are going to be have different policies regarding water. So if you're fracking and producing toxic water that can't be used for anything else, and you really are destroying water in some sense. On the other hand, if you're sticking a straw into a well and just running it through a radiator and putting it out the other end, and it's as clean when it comes out as when it goes in, that's a very different use of water. It's not a consumption of water at all. It's just simply using it as a heat sink. So those are the kinds of things I think Commissioner Kilgore can help keep track of too, perhaps. Commissioner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So if we can we review City Manager and you as well, if you have the answer to that, of the makeup of the council? So I see departmental decision makers, 1 to 2 external volunteer advisors from local universities. This sounds very high-level, high-dollar earner folks. Like we said, we've got everyday regular residents and neighbors getting laid off from these types of tools. So I'm wondering if there's any point where the average neighbor who we serve can be a part of this work, or is it only going to be more high-level department and probably rather built-out folks from universities?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We did talk about that. So this is our initial step, is internally focused with, I think, about 10 or 12 departments or so, and it's up to who the directors assign. So it's not necessarily we're putting all the senior elected officials. There are technologists in each department that have the expertise to be on the council. And as I said earlier with our academic partners, we've talked about there may be need to, on occasion, have other people participate in the council meeting, which could be members of the community, which could be businesses, residents, could be other educational institutions or group, but that would be part of the schedule. And so as we start, again, this is inception, it is very internally focused now, and based on the topic, we may have people come before the council.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
And just again to highlight, this doesn't preempt our department's community engagement work. This is simply to provide that roadmap. Our departments will still engage with the community as they roll out their projects and implement their projects.
Commissioner Belchak?
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and thank you for this presentation. Thank you for the very robust discussion. I appreciate the comments that have been made here. I think at this time, I just want to highlight that it may be missed in this whole conversation that the fact that we have this council being formed internally is actually a best practice in the industry. So we are doing something that is already at a very high level, having the policy that was already initiated. By the way, when was the council formed? It's like brand new, right?
It's brand new. I mean, we have emails out. We've gotten commitments from some, waiting on others. That's why That's why I didn't provide a list. We'll give an update.
So when we were at the Michigan Municipal League conference this September, there was a discussion about AI and governance, and one of the things that was talked about really was this idea that we need to have an internal council that's guiding the practice and development of this and being very thoughtful and intentional. So I just want to highlight that because it could get missed that we're doing the part of it, but I think it's very good to be remembering that who's involved in that conversation does matter as it evolves. And I've been to several different seminars and things about AI recently, including AI in the future of the workforce, AI and how we're using it in governing, and I've been a quasi early adopter, I guess, with ChatGPT, but I want people to remember that it's not just ChatGPT, it's a whole slew of tools. And for me, the impact is really about the human in the loop best practices. So if you want to talk a little more about that just briefly, and for the young people who are here, but also for anyone in general, and us as a city, as staff, the most critical skill set, no matter what kind of AI we have, is going to be being able to think, being able to ask really highly calibrated questions, being able to judge whether the information is accurate, worthy, should it be repeated, and testing, if you're dealing with generative AI, to be asking it, can you give me the counterpoint? Can you give me the other side of the story? You got to ask the questions differently, both on what you're trying to find and then also what you might not be trying to find. So I guess I'll leave that there because I think that's where our biggest skill gap is going to be. And so how do you see human in the loop and what that means? People might not know what that term means.
Sure, yeah. Human in the loop principles goes back to, again, we use the term AI today, but AI is just advanced machine learning, right? The algorithms are improved. So human in the loop goes back to machine learning and as having intentional feedback loops and intentional steps where the humans are doing quality control and quality assurance on what that outcome is. So if you imagine parts coming off a line, how often are we testing those parts up against what the machine is telling us might be a flawed part? So again, here, as we use AI, and it's really more around full automation when we begin to remove people from processes, how are we assuring that we're getting the end outcome that we had intended? And so that really does shift the focus from what might be considered more routine into what might be more critical thinking. And I think you're absolutely right. This highlights, and really for me, freeing up our departmental experts from doing what might be routine to focus truly on the skills that they have in their particular areas is present in those human in the loop principles. So how do we get those experts directly connected with the tougher problems, the toughest problems, the most at need consumers, and really looking at and doing the analysis of our data, not necessarily the routine processing of it. So you're absolutely right. Critical thinking, not just assuming, right? Skeptical use is what we call it. Not just assuming that it's there, but that it's verified. Does that help? Did I answer?
Thank you. Thank you for, on behalf of everybody who will be interested in this topic.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Okay, I think that wraps it up. I will, oh, right.
Mayor,
I request that we move into closed session for.
we have one more item, Mayor.
Do we?
The city attorney selection process.
Oh, that took, okay. Got so excited about that discussion, it felt like the end. Yeah, update on the city attorney process, if we could.
So, good morning, Mayor and City Commissions. This serves as an update regarding our city attorney selection process. The Human Resource Department has begun the process of identifying a search firm that will lead the talent attraction and selection process for your next city attorney. We've issued a RFP, and the deadline for submissions is October 22nd. Some of the selected firms' responsibilities will include stakeholder input, the development of the job profile, the recruitment and selection process, and providing a proposed timeline for the entire process. We anticipate recommending a firm for the Commission's consideration in November. Following selection, the overall search process from kickoff to final candidate recommendation is expected to take 4 to 5 months. And the HR department will act as the principal liaison with the search firm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's important to keep the public involved and informed on this, but we're all pretty engaged in this, so thanks for the update, and I hope everyone fast forwards to this or back to it or whatever, so that we can have good public engagement as we go forward when that happens. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I think we're adjourned, except closed session. So there's been a request from City Attorney to have us move into closed session to discuss ongoing litigation and other matters, and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Belcheck? Yes.
Commissioner Perdue? Yes.
Commissioner Kilgore?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor LaGrant?
Yes, and that will be in room 601. Thank you, colleagues. 5 minutes. Hey. I gotta grab the chief. I gotta grab the chief.